ear-tingling, hair-raising, nape-prickling noise! We've forgotten how important it is, haven't we? When all around is going electric, let's hear it for a car that celebrates sound! This is the DLS. Singer's reimagined Porsche 911, reimagined again. A $2 million reminder that to have a good time, you need good tunes. It's lighter than the standard car, more powerful, faster, re-engineered from the ground up. But why? After all, it's not like the standard car's no good. This car, DLS stands for the Dynamics and Lightweighting Study, started out as a what-if project 5 years ago, a project that got completely out of hand. But before I tell you about that, I can't stand here and not go and drive it. So here we are in an old Porsche 964, doing things a Porsche 964 has never been able to do before. The trouble with old Porsche 911s is that the rear axle is a fulcrum, with the heavy engine behind it acting as a lever, which can have the old front wheels lifted up and waggling in the air. Not here though. Not here. This is something very different. But still, very much an old 911, as I shall now demonstrate. Because if you lift off and turn in, you get slide. You can use all the power, lean on the back axle and get out of corners unbelievably fast. The steering is dancing in my hands. The pedals down there are so accurate and wonderful to use. The whole car is just shot through with this precision and communication. And if you've got this instant feedback, you have confidence in it. And the confidence allows you to play with the balance of it. So you can sort of tweak it into corners. Really shouldn't be doing this in a car worth 2 million quid. Oh, it shouldn't be this friendly. It shouldn't be this easy. It really, really shouldn't. It's not really a car for big, lurid drifts with smoke pouring off the wheels. If you want that, you need a heavy car with a long wheelbase. And this isn't that. Instead, this is a car that plays happily at the margins of grip. It likes to have both axles worked evenly and then maybe slip into a bit of oversteer. Period correct skidding around. Oh, just what a thing. Right, bring the noise, more noise, all the noise. Oh, yes, indeed. The engine is, I haven't got any words. I really don't have any words. It's astonishing, it's angrier, wilder, more intense than I'd even conceived that it could be. So what I want to do is pull over and show you around it, tell you how it differs to a regular Singer, and why exactly it can do what it does. Singer took an original car and asked themselves, how can we make it better to drive? So they may look similar, but there's actually an awful lot of difference between these two cars. So let's talk you through it, starting with the aero. Now, down here, all new splitter here, intakes for the brake cooling here. This is all new. The whole car has been through a digital redesign with computational fluid dynamics done everywhere. But the most interesting bit is what happens to the air further back. Now, if you look here, the glass is flush fitting. It's been designed to tidy up all the airflow around and over the car. The original 2.7 RS of 1973 famously had a ducktail spoiler, but what's less well known is it didn't really do very much. This one is completely different. They've dropped the roofline, they've fitted this bridge spoiler to channel the air down over a plexiglass rear screen and onto the ducktail. This is now 22mm higher, slightly more upright, and has a 5mm gurney flap built in. It's now properly aerodynamically useful. You might be wondering where Singer has got all this aero expertise, given it's a small Californian outfit that's only been restoring 911s like that one for about a decade. This whole car has been developed in conjunction with Williams F1's advanced engineering department. But now, let's follow Air down a different route, not over the car, but into the car, and specifically into the engine through here. Below these rather lovely carbon intakes is an air-cooled engine, something Porsche hasn't done since the 993 died 25 years ago. Bored and stroked out to 4 litres, still a flat 6 obviously. 4 valves per cylinder, that's a first for a road-going air-cooled Porsche, and twin injectors per cylinder. Lots of fuel, lots of air, lots of revs. 9,300 revs to be precise, and to cope with that, they have a greatest hits of exotic materials. This fan here is magnesium, so is its casing. The exhaust down here is Inconel. There's lots of carbon. Even the valves are sodium-filled titanium. But before I close the artwork that is the ducktail lid, these are the adjustments for the dampers. And the dampers are made by XTC, the same firm that built the dampers for most of Seb Loeb's World Rally Championship victories. Yes, rally spec, not race spec, which maybe tells you something about how Singer envisages this car. And having the damper adjusters there means that you don't need to get on your back underneath the car or remove a wheel in order to change the settings. However, removing a wheel is exactly what I'm going to do now. Right, check this out. Look at this beautiful piece. It's the centre lock wheel nut, and it's just a beautiful item as much as anything else. But really, I want to talk to you about this, because what we have here is a bespoke Michelin tyre. Now, they're only building 75 of these, but Michelin have done them a bespoke Cup 2 tyre for it. And these wheels, they're BBS forged magnesium. They're an absolute work of art, and they don't weigh anything. But really, let's roll that over there. Come and have a look at this. Brembo opened up their entire braking catalogue to Singer and said you can have whatever you like. So this is the same disc technology, laid up carbon, as the Bugatti Chiron uses. And actually Brembo had to redesign the entire caliper to fit inside the lovely wheel. And it's these sorts of things, these suppliers who wanted to be associated with this project, like Bosch as well, who did all the ABS and traction control for it, that shows how much these companies wanted to be involved with Singer on this little project. But beyond that, let me put that on there. I mean, a lovely noise going on. Look, you've got double wishbone suspension in here. And to show you why that's important, we need to go and have a look at the original car. Well, have a look in there, where you'll notice there is no upper wishbone in this car, just a McPherson strut and a lower arm. So they have redesigned the entire front suspension on the DLS just to improve the driving dynamics. There's F1 thinking everywhere. Those carbon body panels outside are structural. They add stiffness to the chassis. And in here, there's a 40mm FIA roll cage welded in. But mainly you just look at it and think it's utterly beautiful. This gorgeous Momo steering wheel, the gear lever all raised up high. It just feels stunning, and you look at it and it's just beautiful. But I'm not somewhere beautiful right now, and I want to be. So I need to go and drive. Here we go again! More noise, more drama, more flat 6 howl and wail. Oh, it's so good. 1,000 turbocharged horses, or 500 with this immediacy in response. 2,000 electric horsepower, or a quarter of that, but this noise? Come on, it's this every time. Because it's not all about speed. How can it be? That's not to say the DLS is slow though. 500 horsepower and 317 pounds-foot of torque working on about a tonne. It goes. But what I like is that Singer doesn't really know how fast it is. Williams' calculations suggest it should be able to do 210 miles an hour, but the acceleration, they haven't got a clue. 0 to 60 in 3 point something? I really couldn't care less. Because out here with these roads and this car, it's more about the experience of driving. It's about building a relationship with the car. And I know that sounds a bit twee and romantic, but what is the DLS if not a love letter to the Porsche 911? Singer's question to itself when developing this car was, how great can an air-cooled 911 be? And my answer is this is quite possibly the greatest road car I've ever driven. And to understand why that is, we actually need to come to a stop. Because this is where the DLS driving experience starts. It's out here, looking at it, drinking it in, looking at the sense of proportion to it, the beautiful arches, all the detailing. It's the sense of anticipation, and all of that just makes me want to get back to driving it. But before I do, it just gets better in here. It's like motorsport and Porsche retroness turned up to 11. And now, once I've taken a moment to admire and appreciate this, now I can go and drive. And then you've got the startup experience. You twist the key, you hear the electrics come to life, and then... the rev counter just flicks in front of you. It looks sensational. The whole experience of being in this cabin with this carbon wheel and this gorgeous gear lever on its little raised plinth. And you sit here in the sunshine with that scenery outside and you just think, it's gonna be incredible. And once you're moving, it's just dazzling. That gear change just gets so fluent and fast and crisp. And it's teamed with an engine that just has, oh, the way the revs climb and die. Listen to it, I'm just gonna downshift for the sake of it. You blip the throttle on the downshift, and honestly, I wouldn't consider myself a heel and toe god, but in here, I don't seem to be able to get it wrong. And then you've got the whole way the car goes down the road, and the steering's got this weight to it, and at the track, that concerned me to start with, because I thought, well, when I start sliding it around, is that weight going to stop me being as accurate as I want to be with the steering? But it didn't at all. But actually, once you're up and moving, you're aware it's just feel and weight gains that just give you an idea of how much everything's having to work. And it just slices through corners. Tiny bit of body roll, but mainly just this sense of both ends of the car working evenly. It's such a special thing, this. But the brakes, they're not only beautifully easy to modulate, but they are so powerful. And I hadn't expected that, but I think there's not many road cars I've driven that stop better than this. And the steering, when you come along these roads, it just gently rides but works with you. And that double wishbone front end just gives you so much potency on that front axle for turning in. I'm just going to slow down again because I want you to hear the full range of second gear. Off it goes. How's that? Isn't that incredible? What an amazing, amazing noise. And it's the response to the throttle, the way it turns in. That engine, I hadn't expected it to be the star of the show, if you like, but it really is. I can't think of a better road car engine, or actually a race car engine, that I've ever used. I just can't. It's absolutely fabulous. So my concern and alarm over the value of this car was whether you'd actually dare to drive it on the road, what it would feel like knowing you're piloting this much money down a road. So easy, so easy. I've got no concerns about it at all because it's small and it fits. And I have such incredible confidence in what it's going to do because the communication is there from everything. The steering, the chassis, and perhaps above all, the suspension, which is just absolutely blinding. These rally spec XTC dampers, utterly incredible what they do, because they give the car this amazing, compliant primary ride. So you're not aware of anything happening to the car to upset it, but underneath that you feel every patter, all the little tiny stuff in the road, but it doesn't disturb you. Instead, you just flow. You instantly flow. You build a complete rhythm with it. It just blows my mind, this car. But that's the thing about this car. You can slow it back down and you don't need to be going fast. And that's why I'm having a better time in it on the road than I did on the track. Because I'm indulging everything in the car, using every bit of the rev range, just letting the steering flow and feel on difficult, challenging roads. And it's not putting a foot wrong. Okay, the ride is slightly firm at low speeds, but if you want to change that, you know where the dampers are, it's easy. I genuinely think you could use this car every day if you wanted to. I know no one probably will, but God, they're missing out. I couldn't look at this in a garage and not drive it every day. Everything is important. Back in 2012, singers founder Rob Dickinson scrawled that on the wall in a fit of pique, and it's become singers' mantra. It's why this car has taken 5 years to develop, why the engineering, the detailing, the dynamics are so obsessively done. It's an analogue masterclass, this car, and utterly spectacular.